Then we have Hare Krishnan, Mahima, Pushpender, Ravi, Sahil, Sandeep, Shivam, Shivani, Kaushik, Shreya, Tarun, Tripti, Varun, and Jafriala. Okay, so I hope you can see the PowerPoint, and I'm going to record this session. Um, Let me keep it full screen. So can you see the PowerPoint, students? Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, very
Yes,
good.
sir.
So in today's lecture, I will most probably finish nervous tissue, and we will finish the cell division. So cell cycle and cell division. So here we have two types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. So in today's lecture, we will finish types of nervous tissue and mitosis and meiosis. So the subject is human anatomy and physiology, and the subject code is BMLS 2004. So in the unit 1, so we are in the unit 1 of anatomy and physiology. So in the unit 1 we have the following topics. So let me go directly here. So here we have cell functions and cell organelles. Then we have cell division, mitosis and meiosis, which I will take today. And we have tissues definition, classification of tissues, and types of tissues such as epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. So far we finished cell organelles, then we finished the tissues classification, we finished epithelial tissue, we finished connective tissue, we finished muscular tissue, and today we will finish nervous tissue and also mitosis and meiosis. And the only topic that is pending in unit 1 is blood composition and functions of blood. This topic I will take in my in the next week. So in the next week onwards, we can start the unit 2 also. So this will take only one lecture. After one lecture, we will move on to the unit 2. So this is all about a brief idea about your syllabus, particularly unit 1. So as you already know, the for CAT 1 exam, the syllabus will be unit 1 and unit 2. So eventually before CAT 1 exam, we will finish the syllabus, and our main target unit is unit 4. So in the unit 4, we have many things to discuss, so that we need to concentrate. So by this, I will start the class. So we finished all the basics. So all these you already know, types of epithelial, connective, everything. Then we discussed in detail. Just we discussed about this. Then we discussed about epithelial tissue, depending upon their shape, depending upon their arrangement. Then we discussed about connective tissue. We have many types of connective tissue, like we have three main materials, such as the in the connective tissue. What we have ground substances, fibers, and cells. Ground substances such as glycoproteins, proteoglycans, fibers such as matrix proteins such as elastic fibers, collagen fibers, reticular. Then we even discussed about the connective tissue depending upon their age. Then we discussed in detail about muscular tissue in yesterday's class. So in the muscular tissue, we discussed about three types of muscular tissue: skeletal muscle, smooth and cardiac muscle. And we even discussed about the properties of muscular tissue. So there are majorly four important properties to muscular tissue, that includes excitability, extensibility, contractility, and the elasticity. Then we even discussed about the variations, the differentiation features of these three muscles, such as the presence of nucleus in the periphery, in the central, or presence of intercalated nucleus. Either the muscles are either the muscles are voluntary or involuntary. What type of nerves is input given to those muscles? Then we discussed about their shape, their contraction speed, their presence or absence of striations, and we even discussed about their location. So by this we finished the muscular tissue also. Then we came to the nervous tissue, actually in the yesterday's class itself. Anyway, today I will discuss nervous tissue, and we will finish nervous tissue in today's lecture. So coming to the nervous tissue, so nervous tissue means these are the tissue that is present in the nervous system of our body, such as the brain and the spinal cord, and also the peripheral nerves of our body. So the main purpose of neurons is to transmit signals to and from the brain. So the neurochemical signals are transmitted via nervous cells. So first you need to know the basic structure of neuron. Unless and until knowing the structure of neuron, we cannot proceed to the topic. So first let us see the structure of neuron, which we already finished yesterday actually. So this is the basic or typical structure of a neuron. Are you following me, students? So from now
Yes,
onwards,
sir.
important topic is coming. Okay, so everyone pay attention. So kindly pay attention. Let me see. We have 35 students in online. Very good. Let me download the attendance here. Okay. Okay, so this is the structure of neuron. So the neuron will have a body, a neck, and a head, neck, and body. So to this and tail. So in the body, this is also called a soma. In the soma, you will see the nucleus and the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, you will see a special bodies called micelle granules or micelle bodies, and this head will have a finger-like projections called dendrites. Okay, so what is the purpose of these dendrites? These dendrites will stay in connection with other neurons. So any two neurons will connect each other by dendrites, and any two okay, this is the connections between the neurons, and this is the connection among the neurons. How can I tell that? Okay, so here the attachment is like it's like a microchip, the way the microchip embedded in the motherboard of a cell phone, whereas this attachment is like a wires. Any two wires will be connected by terminal buttons. Any two neurons will be connected at the terminal buttons of the neurons, or simply this dendrite, the dendrite of another neuron will bind at the terminal button of the neuron. Okay, so anyway, so this is the tail of the neuron, and in this tail you will see axon. In the axon terminal portion, you will see axon terminal buttons, and in this axon it will have insulating material which is called as myelin sheet. So this axon is coated with a layer of myelin sheet, and this myelin sheet is synthesized or produced by a specialized cell called Schwann cell. So Schwann cell is responsible for covering the axon with the myelin sheet. Okay, now in between this myelin sheet you will see some nodes, some gaps, and those gaps are called as nodes of Ranvier, and the significance of having these gaps is to better conduction of the electric potential signals among the axon, among the length of the axon. So for better transmission of electric signals, these nodes will helpful. So nodes will enhance the better conduction of the electric signals. So this is the basic structure of the neuron. Then coming to the classification of nervous tissue. So in case of classification of nervous tissue, the neurons has been broadly classified into two types: electric conducting neurons and non-electric conducting neurons. So the nerve cells that will conduct electric signals, and the other one is non-electric conducting nerve cells. Those are also called as binding cells or glial cells. So glial cells means they will bind something. Now first let us see about the conducting nerves. So these nerve cells are further two types. We have myelinated nerve cells and we have non-myelinated nerve cells. Myelinated nerve cells will have myelin sheet among the length of the axon, whereas the non-myelinated nerve cell won't have any myelin sheet. Let me turn on the captions, live captions. Okay. Now coming to the non-myelinated nerve cells are very scarce in the body. Okay, they will present deep in the brain, in the cerebellum, and in the deep portions of the brain you will see non-myelinated nervous cells, but usually we will see myelinated nerve cells throughout the body. Now how do we classify these myelinated nerve cells? Now these myelinated nerve cells are divided depending upon their three properties. One is based upon the number of poles present to the neuron, based upon the function of the neuron, and based upon the length of the axon. These nerve cells has been divided depending upon the number of poles, depending upon the function, and depending upon the length of the axon. So first let us see about the number of poles. So depending upon the number of poles, the neurons are broadly classified into three types: unipolar neurons, bipolar neurons, and multipolar neurons. That means single-headed neurons, two-headed neurons, and multi-headed neurons. Okay, so depending upon the pole, we have three types: unipolar neurons, bipolar neurons, and multipolar neurons. So now I will discuss in detail about these three. So now I'm going to focus on this area. Based upon number of poles, we have three types of neurons. We have unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. Are you listening to me, students? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now I'm moving forward to discuss this area, especially unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. So here, yeah. So first one is unipolar. So unipolar nerve cell means the classical structure of neuron is the unipolar. So the cell body possesses a short axon which divides into two branches. So after short distance, simply students. So this is the body. From this body, you will see only one branch. Okay. At the terminal of this branch, it may have two branches. That is normal. So since it only possessed one branch, it is called as unipolar. Sometimes this body will extend two axons, and that is called as bipolar. Anyway, so this is a typical neuron structure, and this location, the location of unipolar nerve cells is in the spinal cord, sensory ganglia, and the cranial, in deep in the cranial nerves. So cranial nerves, spinal cord, and sensory ganglia will have the unipolar nerve cells. So unipolar nerve cells present in the sensory ganglia, cranial nerves, and the spinal nerves will have the unipolar nerve cells, or simply unipolar nerve cells will present in the spinal cord. Unipolar nerve cells will present extensively in the spinal cord of the humans. So this is all about the unipolar. Next is bipolar. So bipolar means very simple. From the soma, that means from the head, you will see two elongations. Two elongations will be seen on the either side of the cell. That is why it is called bipolar. In this pole, you have one axon, and in this pole, you have one axon. Since it has two axons in the two poles of the cell, that is why this neuron is called as bipolar nerve cell. So a single axon enlarges from either side of the soma. These are found in sensory structures such as retina, olfactory epithelium, vestibular, and auditory systems. So usually in the sensory organs of our body, we will find this bipolar nerve cells in the retina of the eyes, in the olfactory epithelium of the nose, in the vestibulocochlear, in the vestibular of the auditory pathway in the ear. So in the ear, in the nose, and in the eyes, we will find this bipolar nerve cells. So they have two poles. So a single axon has been extended on the both the sides of the soma or the cell body. So these types of neurons are called as bipolar neurons. So bipolar neural cells usually present in the sensory organs of our body, such as the eyes, nose, and the auditory pathway, or in the ear. Then coming to the third type of cells, depending upon the polarity, which is the multipolar nerve cells. So multipolar nerve cell means from the body, it will have multiple axons will be extended from the single soma, and such neural cells are called as multipolar nerve cells. So many dendrites and a single axon will present in the soma. So these type of multipolar nerve cells are seen in cerebral cortex. So deep in the brain, we will see these multipolar nerve cells. So in the pyramidal cell of the cerebral cortex, and in the fungiform cell of the cerebral, simply these multipolar nerve cells will present in the cerebral cortex of the brain. That's it. That is enough for this. Okay. So multipolar nerve cells present in the cerebral cortex of the brain. So this is all about the classification of neurons depending upon their polarity. So I'm going back to the classification. So here myelinated nerve cells are divided into three types broadly, that include depending upon their polarity, depending upon their function, and depending upon their length of the axon. So depending upon their polarity, we have three types: unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. Now tell me example, students. Unipolar nerve cells present in what location?
Spinal cord.
Spinal cord. Very
Spinal
good.
cord.
Very good. Bipolar?
Eyes, nose, ears.
Very good. And in the auditory pathway, in the ears. And multipolar?
Cerebral cortex of brain.
Very good. Cerebral cortex of the brain. Very good. So this is all about the polarity of nerve cells, and other two are very simple, students. So depending upon the function, nerves are of two types. One is motor nerves and second one is sensory nerves. So what is the difference between motor nerves and sensory nerves? Motor nerves means, students, see, now I'm feeling to lift my hand. So how I lift my hand? Here, what exactly happened is my brain send a signal to my hand to lift the cell. So this signal was sent by a motor cells. So these neurons are called as motor neurons. Motor neurons will carry signal from the brain to the periphery, to the any hand, to lift anything, to move anything. Such neurons are called as motor neurons. Motor neurons will carry signal from the brain to the moving part of the body, to the hands. Okay. Yeah. The next one. Yes, any doubts?
सर श्रुति नहीं सर ज्वाइन हो पा रही है इस लिंक से.
Shruti is unable to join.
Yes sir.
That is mostly due to internet issue only, because if you are all joining, then the problem is from her side only, because you didn't face any problem. So I think she need to adjust her internet connectivity. Okay. So yes, I can't see anyone in waiting lobby also. So tell her to rejoin, okay, with the same link. Yeah. So where are we? So yeah, depending upon the function, we have two types of cells, nerve cells, motor nerve cells and sensory nerve cells. Motor nerve cells will carry information from the brain to the motor division of the body, to the periphery of the body. Okay. Then sensory means okay, how can I tell sensory? So here someone pinched me. So if someone pinching me, what will happen? The pain receptor will get activated and this pain signal will send to the brain. So this is sending signal from the periphery to the brain. Okay, such neurons are called as sensory neurons. Sensory neurons will take signal to the brain, whereas motor neurons will carry signal from the brain. So that is the major difference from the CNS to peripheral nervous system in the motor neurons, whereas sensory neurons will carry from peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system. So this is all about the neurons depending upon their function. Then third one is depending upon their length. So very simple, students. If the neuron has a very long axon, means such neurons are called as Golgi type 1 neurons. If it has a large axon, means such very lengthy axon, means such neurons are called Golgi type 1 neurons. If the axon length is very short, means those neurons are called as Golgi type 2 neurons. So Golgi type 1 neurons or long axons will present to the motor neurons, whereas the Golgi type 2 or short neurons will present to the sensory neurons. So sensory neurons will have short axon length, whereas motor neurons will have long axon length. Long axon lengthed neurons are called as Golgi type 1, whereas short axon lengthed neurons are called as Golgi type 2. So this is all about the classification of myelinated nerve cells. So a quick revision. So myelinated nerve cells are broadly divided depending upon their polarity, function and length of the axon terminal. So depending upon the polarity, we have unipolar, bipolar and multipolar. Unipolar seen in the spinal cord, whereas bipolar seen in the sensory organs such as the retina of the eye, olfactory receptors in the nose or in the auditory vestibular region of the ear. Or then coming to the based upon the function, if there are two types, motor neurons and the sensory neurons. Motor neurons will carry information from the brain, whereas the sensory neurons will carry information to the brain. Then depending upon the axon length, we have short axon neurons and the long axon neurons. Short axon neurons are called as Golgi type 2, which are sensory neurons, whereas the long axon neurons are called as Golgi type 1, which are called as motor neurons. So this is all about the myelinated nerve cells. Then coming to the second classification of nervous tissue, which is the binding cells or glial cells. So glial cells or binding cells. So these are the cells that will bind any two neurons. They are the supporting cells. Okay. So these binding cells are also called as supporting cells or glial cells. And their primary role is to assist the nervous cells. They will help the nervous cells for their growth, for their nourishment, for their excretion, for their metabolic pathways, for their support, for their structure, integrity, and for their normal function and activities. These glial cells will support them. So glial cells will support them in various ways. They will protect them from the pathogen substances. They will provide them nutrition. They will repair nervous cells. They will nourish the nervous cells. They even participate in the cell damage and repair for the nervous cells. So they are the supporting cells of the actual nervous cells. So glial cells will support them. So now let us see the types of glial cells. Are you listening, me students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So coming to this, yeah. Oh, good. So coming to the glial cells, we have two types. Glial cells or supporting cells present in the central nervous system, that means in the brain and in the spinal cord, and glial cells which are present in the peripheral nervous system. That means in the periphery of the body. So first let us discuss about glial cells that are present in the central nervous system. So now I'm moving forward to discuss about the glial cells. Okay. So here I'm going to discuss neural glial cells. So let us see the functions of glial cells. So these are the typical functions of glial cells. So glial cells will support and nourish the nervous cells. They can go through mitosis. They can undergo mitosis. By the way, students, the true nerve cell cannot go, it cannot divide. Do you know that fact? A neuron cannot divide. Neuron cannot divide by mitosis or meiosis. Nerve cells will be permanent. Once you have the brain won't grow. Okay, brain cells won't divide. They will grow, but they won't divide. Keep in mind, nervous cells can grow, but they cannot divide. They cannot replicate. They cannot multiply. They can only grow in their throughout the life cycle. That's it. That is why when we are aging, since we have only since we only have one subset of nervous cells, eventually the nerve cells will start degenerating. They will degrade. So eventually we will lose the memory. So during old age, why we are losing memory? Because we are losing the capability of the nerve cells to their normal function, and we cannot even increase the nerve cells. That is not there. Nerve cells cannot divide, but the glial cells can divide. A true nerve cell cannot divide, but the supporting cells will divide. Okay, keep in mind, supporting cells undergo mitosis, and they will surround around the nerve cells, obviously. So lines, brains and spinal cord nerves. So the supporting cells will protect, or they will act as a layer, lining of layer around the brain and the spinal cord. They will produce myelin. They will produce. They will also act. They will also play important role in phagocytic action. Phagocytic action means it is a mechanism of killing microorganisms which are entering into our body. So the cell will digest the microorganism and it will kill the microorganism, and that phenomenon is called as phagocytic action, which is done by some type of glial cells. And last and final is glial cells will give the major source. Okay, this is there. We will say many times cancer, brain cancer. When we are saying brain cancer, we know that a nerve cell cannot divide. Cancer means division, abnormal division of cell. So if the nerve cells not dividing, then how we are getting brain cancer? Brain cancer is occurring because of neoplasm to these glial cells. Because of this glial cell cancer only, we will say it as a brain cancer. It is not the actual tumor. It is not the actual brain cell cancer. It is the glial cells present in the brain causing the cancer. And the starting stage of any cancer is called as neoplasm. So neoplasm means a new word for you. Neoplasm means it is the starting stage of cancer is called as neoplasm. Okay. Then neoplasty means it is the second stage, and third stage will be the actual cancer. So neoplasm occurs in the glial cells only. So we need to be very cautious regarding these glial cells. If there is any problem with these glial cells, that's it. We will get neoplasm. So we will get cancers. So you need to be cautious. So these are the major functions of glial cells. Now let us discuss the types of glial cells. So as I said, we have two types of glial cells. We have glial cells in the central nervous system, and we have glial cells in the peripheral nervous system. So the glial cells in central nervous system are four types. We have microglial cells, oligodendritic cells, ependymal cells, and astrocytes. In the central nervous system, we have microglial cells, oligodendritic cells, ependymal cells, and astrocytes. So first let me discuss about astrocytes. So here you can see a typical structure of a neuron. Can you see this neuron, students? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a neuron. In this neuron, in this neuron, here we have a blood vessel. Now this neuron should get nutrition. This neuron should get some nutrition. Okay. This nutrition is provided to the neuron with the help of a supporting cell, which is the astrocyte. Astrocyte will provide the blood supply to the neuron. It will act as a bridging stone. Okay, it will act like a bridge to provide nutrition to the neurons. So it will connect to the nearby capillary. It will absorb the materials, nutritions from the blood, and it will provide those nutritions to the nerve cell. So this is the major function of the astrocyte. Okay. So astrocytes will bind neurons to the blood vessels. So astrocytes will bind neurons to the blood vessels. So this is the major function of the astrocyte. And also neurons will secrete certain chemicals, certain neurotransmitting chemicals, and those neurotransmitting chemicals secreted by the neuron will be released into the blood with the help of a astrocyte only. So this astrocyte will act like a mediator in between the neurons and the blood. So all neurotransmitting chemicals will be released into the blood via astrocyte. Astrocyte will provide nutritions to the neuron with the help of binding a blood vessel with the neuron, and also astrocyte also plays an important role in transmission of chemicals from the neuron into the bloodstream. So this is the major function of the astrocyte. Then second cell is oligodendritic cells. So what is the role of this oligodendritic cells? Now, this oligodendritic cell will provide insulation. It will synthesize the myelin sheet in between adjacent neurons. Any two neurons will bind together by this oligodendritic cell, and this oligodendritic cell will give the myelin sheet to the neurons. Keep in mind, these are the neurons which are present inside the brain. The neurons which are present inside the brain, those neurons, myelin sheet is synthesized by the oligodendritic cell. Oligodendritic cell will synthesize myelin sheet to the neurons which are present inside the brain. So that is the major function of the oligodendritic cell. Simply this oligodendritic cell will provide insulation to the neurons which are present in the central nervous system or inside the brain of a person. So this is the major function of the oligodendritic cell. Okay, so that's it. Oligodendritic cell will provide the insulation or myelin sheet to the nerve cells which are present in the brain. Then third one is microglial cells. So what is the function of these microglial cells? So very simple, microglial cells will play like a immune cells of the brain. If any pathogen, if any virus, bacteria, fungi, parasite entered into the brain, means these microglial cells will kill the microorganisms. So simply you can remember, microglial cells will kill the microorganisms. So they will destroy these microorganisms by a phenomenon or by a phenomenon called phagocytic action. So phagocytosis means it is a process of digesting the microorganism and killing the microorganism. It's called as phagocytosis. So microorganisms entered in the brain will be destroyed by these microglial cells. So that is the major function of the microglial cell. And last and final is fourth cell, which is the ependymal cell. So last and final is ependymal cell. So before discussing of ependymal cell, I just want to know one thing from you. Can anyone say the fluid that is present in the brain? We have a fluid in the brain. Can anyone say the name of that fluid? Fluid which is present in the brain. There is a fluid in the brain. Very good. Cerebrospinal fluid. In the beginning, I said that our brain is suspended in a liquid, in a fluid, and that fluid is called as cerebrospinal fluid. And who is secreting this cerebrospinal fluid? What type of cell is responsible for secretion of the cerebrospinal fluid? This cerebrospinal fluid is secreted by a specialized cell which is present in the ventricles of the brain, and that cells are called as ependymal cells. Ependymal cells will secrete cerebrospinal fluid from the ventricles of the brain. So in the brain we have a structures called ventricles. In these ventricles you will see a lining of ependymal cells, and these ependymal cells will secrete the CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid, which is very essential to protect the brain from any mechanical injuries. So ependymal cells plays a vital role in secretion of the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, so that's it. So these are the four types of cells that are present in the central nervous system. So these are the four types of glial cells present in the central nervous system of the brain. So a quick revision. So in the central nervous system, we have 4 cells: microglial cells, oligodendritic cells, ependymal cells, and the astrocytes. So you need to tell me the answers. Which cell will bind? Which cell will destroy the microorganisms entered in the brain? Which glial cell will kill?
Microglial cell.
Microglial cells. Very good. Then which cell, sorry. So which cells will provide insulation to the neurons present in the brain? Which cells will provide insulation or myelin sheet to the neurons present in the brain? What cells will provide insulation to the brain, to the nerve cells in the brain? Can anyone read this one? What is the function of this cell? What is this one? What is the role of this cell? Can anyone say? Students? Am I audible? Actually, I'm perfectly audible. You are quiet. Oligodendritic cells will provide insulation to the nerves which are present in the brain. Okay. So oligodendritic cells will synthesize the myelin sheet to the nerves present in the brain. So that is the major function of the oligodendritic cell. Then tell me, which cell will produce CSF? What cell will produce CSF in the brain? Students. What cell will provide, what cell will synthesize or produce cerebrospinal fluid? Can you hear me? Why everyone quiet, by the way? It is the ependymal cell. Ependymal cell will synthesize CSF. Okay. So ependymal cells will synthesize CSF, whereas the microglial cells will kill the microorganism centers in the brain, and oligodendritic cells will provide insulation to the adjacent nerves present inside the brain, and astrocytes will bind nerves to the nearby blood vessels. So these are the functions of these 4 glial cells. And last and final, we have only 2 more cells, which are the satellite cells and Schwann cells in the peripheral nerves. So let us see what is the function of Schwann cell. So you already know the function of Schwann cell. So Schwann cell will synthesize the myelin sheet around the length of the axon. So Schwann cell is responsible for synthesizing of myelin sheet around the length of the axon. Now there is a interesting thing about this Schwann cell. How many of you know about a condition called leprosy? Do you are you aware of leprosy, students? Do you know what is leprosy? What will happen in leprosy? Any idea? What will happen to the patients who has leprosy?
सर जो नर्व डैमेज हो जाता है वो
Very good. Their nerves will be damaged. They will have a permanent spasms like this. So they will become a permanent spasms because of nervous spasms. Okay, they will have nerve damage. And what exactly happened in this leprosy means this leprosy bacilli will destroy the Schwann cell of the neuron. When the Schwann cell destroyed, neuron myelin sheet will be destroyed. My neuron axon will be exposed. If the neuron axon exposed, what will happen? It will short circuit with other neurons. When it short circuited with other neurons, they will get excited. They will get excited and they will be in their excited state like this. So the neurons will contract the muscle, and the muscles will be forever in this position because of the short circuit of the neurons. And this happened because of damage of Schwann cell that is done by the pathogen, which is leprosy bacilli. See, everything is interconnected. Leprosy bacilli will destroy the Schwann cell, and absence of Schwann cell will cause absence of myelin sheet. Absence of myelin sheet will result in the short circuit of the neurons. That results in spasms, permanent spasms in the patients. So everything is interconnected. Yeah. So that is the major role of the Schwann cell. So Schwann cells will synthesize the myelin sheet or myelin membrane, a layer of myelin sheet around the length of the axon. So that is the major role of the Schwann cell. And last and final is the satellite cell. So what is the role of this satellite cell? So satellite cells, just as the name suggests, these cells looks like a satellite. Okay, they will present at the side of the neurons and at the side of the axon terminal, and they will regulate the internal environment of the neurons. The neuronal environment will be regulated by the satellite cells. If there is any inflammation, if there is any short circuit, if there is any gap junctions, those gap junctions, those short circuits will be regulated. The microenvironment of the nervous tissue, the microenvironment of the nervous system will be regulated by the satellite cells. Okay, so if I go depth, I need to discuss about sympathetic, parasympathetic ganglia. That will be very depth for you. So you just remember that the satellite cells will regulate the microenvironment of the neurons. So there is a certain environmental factors that need to be maintained for a proper functioning of the nervous cells, and this proper functioning of nervous cells will be facilitated with the help of these satellite cells. So that is the major role of the satellite cells, and this is all about the nervous tissue, students. I know that nervous tissue is slightly complicated for you, but eventually you will get adopted. Okay, so if you go through 1 or 2 times by these notes, you will get some idea about nervous tissue. So I will do a quick revision of nervous tissue, then we can move to the next topic, which is the cell division, cell cycle. Okay, so yeah, so coming to the nervous tissue. So nervous tissue is basically divided into 2 types: electric conducting nerves and non-electric conducting nerves. So non-electric conducting nerves are called as glial cells, supporting cells or binding cells, whereas nervous cells are called as they will conduct the action potential or the electrical activity. So these nerve cells are for the 2 types: myelinated nerve cells and the non-myelinated nerve cells. Myelinated nerve cells will have the myelin sheet along the length of the axon. Now these myelinated nerve cells are of 3 types depending upon their polarity, depending upon their function and their length of the axon. Depending upon their polarity, we have unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. Unipolar present in the spinal cord, bipolar in the sensory organs such as the eyes, nose, and the ear, and multipolar present in the cerebral cortex. Depending upon the function, we have motor neurons and the sensory neurons. Depending upon the axon length, we have type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is long and type 2 is short. Then coming to the binding of glial cells, we have 2 types: the cells present in the central nervous system and the cells present in the peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system cells include microglial cells, astrocytes, oligodendritic cells, and ependymal cells, whereas the peripheral nervous system cells include Schwann cells and the satellite cells. Now I will ask a short Q&A. Which cells will secrete CSF? What glial cells will secrete cerebrospinal fluid?
Epidermal cell.
Ependymal cells, very good. What cells will act like a protective cells to kill microorganisms in the brain? What cells will kill the microorganisms?
Microglial cell.
Very good, microglial cells. And what cells will bind the neurons to the blood vessels?
Astrocytes.
Astrocytes, very good. And what cells will what cells will provide insulation to the nervous cells inside the brain? What cell will provide insulation, that means myelin sheet, to the nerves present in the brain? Only this is confusing for everyone. I don't know why.
Schwann cell.
Schwann cell is for, okay, yeah, now I got the point. Schwann cell will give insulation to the peripheral nerves. Okay, and there is one more cell that will give insulation inside the brain, and that is oligodendritic cell. Okay, oligodendritic cell and Schwann cell are same. So Schwann cell will give insulation to the peripheral nerves, whereas the oligodendritic cell will give insulation to the central nerves. That's it. That's the only difference. Oligodendritic cell will give protection or insulation to the brain cells, whereas Schwann cell will give protection to the peripheral nerve cells. That's it. And what cell will regulate the microenvironment of the neurons?
Satellite cell.
Satellite cell. Very good. So this is all about the nervous tissue, students. So you are on the right track. Then next I kept a small classification. Anyway, you need not to know this one right now. Okay, this is the classification of nervous system. We have central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system composed of brain, spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system we have motor neurons and sensory neurons. Motor neurons we have further two types: somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. And in the autonomic we have sympathetic and parasympathetic division. This I will discuss in the unit where we will see nervous system. Okay, so maybe I will delete this slide from these slides. The only topic that we need to cover is the nervous tissue, but not nervous system. So don't confuse nervous tissue with nervous system. Okay. Okay. So shall we proceed to the next topic, students, which is cell division? Or shall we have in the shall I go with next topic, or shall we have in the next class next week? What is your thoughts? Shall I proceed with this topic, which is cell cycle, mitosis and meiosis? Okay, we can do one thing. I will just give a basic introduction to this topic, and in the next class we will discuss in detail about cell division. Okay, so just listen, don't heat your brains now. So I will give you some basic idea about the cell division. Okay, it will be like a story, so I will convey this like a story. So just listen. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So coming to the next topic of today's class, so that is the cell division. So cell division means the cells will divide on in two methods. One is mitosis and second one is meiosis. So mitosis means it is the cell division which happens in the all types of cells in our body, whereas meiosis will only happens in the sexual cells, either in the sperms in case of males or in the ovum in case of women. So only in reproductive cells we will see this meiosis. So before understanding mitosis or meiosis, first you should have some basic idea about the cell cycle. What is cell cycle? What are the stages of cell cycle? Unless and until you are knowing the cell cycle, you cannot understand the phases of cell division. Either it can be a mitosis or meiosis. So first I will give you some idea about what is cell cycle. So in a very layman terms, in a very simpler terms. Okay. So coming to the cell cycle. So actually, yeah. So last week the cells has been identified. Actually, the credits will be given to the Robert Hooke. Then the second credits is given to the guy who invented the microscope. His name is Antoine van Leeuwenhoek. But even though they made the microscope, but they haven't understood the cells. They haven't understood the structure of the cell until involvement of this particular scientist. His name is Sir Hans Christian Gram. So what Sir Hans Christian Gram did is he made a dye. He made a staining substance that can visualize cells under the microscope, and he is the first one who has been divided cells into two categories. He said that cells can be either gram positive or cells can be gram negative. So this basic difference, this basic separation of cells into either positive cells or negative cells has tremendously transformed the way we are studying the cytology. So he has contributed a lot in the field of cell studies by his staining technique, which is called the Gram staining technique. So he must deserve the tribute that he should get. So because of Sir Hans Christian Gram's work on the cells, today we are studying the morphology of cell in detail, the cycle of the cell, the dividing, the reproduction of cell. All these things has happened because of his invention of a Gram staining technique. So he is Hans Christian Gram. Okay, so I think his birthday is September 13th. Okay, yeah, so he died at the age of 86. Anyway, so coming to the point. So today I will discuss about the cell cycle, and we will discuss about the phases of the cell cycle. So before discussing, actually there is one more topic, which is cell death. Cell death I'm not going to cover in this semester. Cell death we will see in the next semester in the pathology in detail. Okay. Anyway, so let us see what is the meaning of cell cycle. So cell cycle means, obviously in our body cells must reproduce, cells must divide. until if the cells are not dividing, we cannot grow. And I will tell you some interesting things regarding this. See students, the nature is very cruel in nature. Now, very cruel. Why I'm telling this? Because Mother Nature will always try to kill us. No matter whatever the circumstances, it will always try to stress us. It will try to kill all the cells. So when, okay, basically we are dying every day. A part of our body is always losing, or a part of our body is dying every day because of this environmental factors. Then when we are dying, when a part of our body dying, we need to replace that part. If we are not replacing it, we cannot stay alive. Is my point clear? Right now, maybe some of my cells dying here. So I need to replace those dead cells. The pre-existing cells must divide to replace those lost cells. So each and every second, some millions of cells will be dying in our body, and each and every second, some millions of cells are replacing those dead cells. Each and every second, there is a cell division. For every second, there will be some million cells producing in our body, cell dividing in our body. So within a fraction of a second, we are getting many cells dividing in our body. That means there are many baby cells producing. So each and every second is like a birthday to one of the many of the cells in our body. So I can say like that. So we are celebrating birthday each and every second until our death. So birthday is not a single day event. At a cellular level, it is happening in each and every second, every fraction of the second, I can say. If that is not happening, we can say goodbye to this world. So how that thing is happening, how the cells are growing, how the cells are dividing in a proper way. When I say cell dividing, keep in mind students, each cell will have 46 chromosomes with almost 2 to 3 billion base pairs of DNA. And in each and every division, the complete copy of DNA will be replicated. The complete set of this cell will be replicated. You will see a very identical cells, and there won't be any problem. There won't be any changes at the cellular level, at the genetic level, or at the morphological level of the cell. The cells will divide exactly like a Xerox copy. And like this, we have some trillions of cells, and all those trillions of cells has been Xeroxed properly. If that Xeroxing, if that copying not happening properly, means we may get cancers, we may get a new horn from here, we may get third hand, we may get tumors in the brain, we may get any problem. But we are not getting that. That means each and every time the cells are dividing perfectly without any problems. For example, if there is any problem, if any red blood cell not dividing properly, so one red blood cell replicated and there is a problem with the baby cell. So because of this baby cell, the problem in the baby cell became a C shape. So now the red blood cell shape is, instead of circle, it is instead of biconcave to be precise, it is in C shape. Because there is a abnormality in the cell cycle, there is abnormality in the cell replication. Due to that abnormality, the red blood cell becomes C. What will happen if you have a C-shaped red blood cell? It will contribute to a condition called sickle cell anemia. And the patient who will have this sickle cell anemia will feel pains in their bones. They will have severe body pains because the red blood cells will stick each and everywhere of the body. And also these red blood cells will clot, and eventually they will die because of clotting of blood in the blood vessels by a condition called DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation. A small mistake in a cell division can result in a patient death. And miraculously, we are really blessed few where in our bodies, our cells are dividing properly without any havocs or problems. And how that master mechanism happened? How exactly does the cells are dividing? What is the mechanism of this division? How the DNA was doubled, how the DNA separated, how the cells divided, how the cytoplasm splitted, how the cells came to know that they must divide. how the cells coordinating each other to maintain their population in the body. So this topic alone we can discuss for 1 week. So that much interesting topic is cell cycle and cell division. So are you listening, me students? So first
Yes,
I'm trying
sir.
to elevate the topic. Then only you will get interest to listen actually. So this is how this is some interesting facts about cell cycle, students. And a single cell cycle will happen roughly around 24 hours. So I will tell you one important thing here. Okay. So there is a difference between cell growth and cell division, students. So that complete cell growth along with division together, it is called as a cell cycle. I will give you a simple example of cell growth and cell division. For example, typically speaking, if a just born baby came, okay, we have a just born baby, two individual babies, a boy and a girl, okay, they will make a human when they reached around 22 years age. Only when they're becoming 22 years age, then only they can reproduce. Until 22 years, they can't, maybe until they're hitting their puberty, they can't reproduce. That means until their puberty, they're growing. So until certain age, the people will grow. Once they're grown, there will be a short period of time where they can reproduce. It took just a matter of 9 months to reproduce, to become a new baby. They will produce a new baby. So if you see this complete spectrum, the growth and the baby production, I'm not going with the old age. So I'm only going until the delivery of a baby by a woman. So if you see this complete 22 years time until 21.3 months, okay, maybe until 21 years, the children is in the growing phase of their life cycle, of their lifetime. After 21 years, they will go for cell division, they will go for reproduction, and reproduction is only a matter of 9 months. Similarly, in the cells, the cell almost for 23 to 23 and a half hours, the cell will be in the growth stage. The cell will grow. After that, it will only take a matter of minutes for the division of the cell. I need to recheck this one. In the whole life cycle takes around 24 hours from start to finish. Some cells such as skin cells constantly divide. Yeah, correct. So if you take a single cell which has a 24 hours life cycle, in those 24 hours, 23 hours, the cell will spend its time in growing and in doing its own business of its function. If it is a and this rule is not applicable for nervous cells. Nervous cells will grow for until we are dying. So that is different story. This exception is only for nervous cells, and all other cells in our body will have a lifespan of 24 hours. So in this 24 hours, 23 hours they will grow, and it will take only 1 hour for the cell to divide. And how that division occurs? So just like a human baby, we will have a zygote, we will have different stages before development of that baby into a complete grown fetus, into a complete grown infant. We will see certain stages in the 9 months of this period, right? Similarly, even a dividing cell will have a stages, and that stages are called as cell division stages. And these stages are broadly divided into two types: mitosis and meiosis. If it is a vegetative cell, if it is a normal cell, it will go to the divisions of mitosis. If it is a reproductive cell, it will go with the division of meiosis. So that happens in a very beautiful way. How that cell division occurred is a spectacular event, and I will tell you that now. I will just show you some images. In the next class, we will discuss in detail about the stages. So yeah, so simply in a nutshell, we will say cell divide like this. So a single cell become two cells. So but this is not as simple as this. So cell division is not as simple as this. It is a really complicated process for dividing a cell. There are multiple stages involving, multiple parameters that are involving in order to make a copy of a cell. So There will be involvement of the genetic material, there will be involvement of many things. So if you see the complete life cycle of a cell, so the stages has been divided into four stages, students. You have G1 phase, which is the growth phase. So first half of the period of the cell will be in the growth phase. After growth phase, the cell DNA will start replicating. The cell will go to the replication. That means 46 chromosomes will convert to 96 chromosomes during the growth phase of the cell. And this phase is called as S phase. So in the S phase, the DNA will become double. Instead of 46 chromosomes, the cell will have 92 chromosomes in the cell. Is it possible like that? At one particular point, a single cell will have 92 chromosomes. Is it possible like that, students? Is there any chances like that? Yes, it is actually. Okay. And that particular stage of the cell is called as S phase. Then you have the second phase, which is G2 phase, the second growth phase. After G2 phase, the cell will go for cell division. So here now we have 92 chromosomes. These 92 chromosomes will split into 46, and that splitting happens in this particular area where it is called cell division. Now that happens in the M phase of the cell cycle. In the M phase, the cell division will happen. Now, in order to memorize the M phase, the stages in the M phase, I will give you a very simple mnemonic. I will give you a very simple mnemonic. Just you remember PMAT, IPMAT. So IPMAT means P, I means interphase, P, prophase, M, metaphase, A, anaphase, T, telophase. So, I will give you a simple idea. So what exactly happens is, in the prophase, you will see two polar bodies. Now all the scattered genetic material will come to the center of the cell in the metaphase. After coming all chromosomes into the center, now there will be something called spindle fibers. These spindle fibers will they will stretch the the chromosomes into the poles of the cell. That happens in the anaphase. After anaphase, the cytoplasm will split, and that results in two cells. So that the splitting of cytoplasm happens in telophase. So interphase, DNA will be condensed to chromosomes. In prophase, chromosomes, two polar bodies will come. In the metaphase, chromosomes will be in the center of the cell. In the anaphase, chromosomes will start splitting or migrating to the poles of the cell. And in the telophase, you will see the splitting of cytoplasm and production of two baby cells. So these are the major stages of the cell division. And these five stages together called as IPMAT: interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And all these things happen so perfectly fine that there won't be any mistake in each and every phase of this cell division. And that is really beauty. A really complicated things happening in each and every cell of our body. And each and every second, there are some million cells producing in our body without any error. So this is an actual cell division. So here you can see here. So first you saw some polar bodies, then chromosomes going into the periphery, then the cytoplasm splitted and they become two cells. And this is happening at a very high speed in our body. And so if you appreciate the beauty and the complexity of this phenomenon, you will get that appetite to know, at least you will get that curiosity to know what is cell cycle, right? So we are not going to discuss in depth, but at least we should have that idea, right, to understand these beautiful mechanisms in our body. So that we will discuss in the next class, students. So it is just a by-hearting thing. So first of all, keep in mind, studies means not about by-hearting. It is all about appreciating the nature, the mother nature at its core, at its fundamental level. So try to always have that a spark of curiosity in your minds. Then everything looks really interesting. So if you are not interested, you can't study. So first develop that curiosity and interest in your minds before studying anything, and that eventually automatically you will be the brightest students. Okay, it is not about the marks on a piece of paper. It is all about how much we aware of the things, how much we know in this brain. Okay, so thank you very much, students. Can I end this session? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.